Hello, and welcome to episode of Todd Talks. When Todd Talks, people listen because Todd's special. Yes, today I am smiling. I was going to do a joke there, but I won't now. I'm smiling because we are going to be breaking down Splat versus Raccoon. No, Raccoon! Okay. Yeah, this is a fun death battle. And also, I just remembered another prediction I got right this year, because I said we were definitely going to get Ant-Man in death battle, which we did, Ant-Man vs. Atom, and we were going to get Rocket versus Stitch. I don't know if we're going to get Sly versus Lupin, but one can hope. I just want Sly Cooper in death battles. That's so hard. But yes, we are going to have a fun death battle matchup to talk about, so let's get it going. What? Stops! Ah! Alright. Unless I'm going between the balls all episode long. Just to make Death Battle not hiring me. I submitted my voice reel and I had Stitch in there. I'm not sure to do the Stitch first. Ohana. Okay. Ohana. Okay. There were like some Trump motions there. That was terrible. Alright, so Stitch, aka Experiment 626. Now, we're going to be covering many parts of Stitch mythology here, so go with me on this, okay? In the beginning, Stitch created the heavens and the earth. I kid. In the beginning, Stitch, aka Experiment 626, was created by the evil scientist named Jumba. I forgot his last name. Sorry. I only knew him as Jumba. So, and this was bad because Jumbo wanted to make the most destructive monster ever. And so, as they noted in the Death Battle preview, he took like the worst parts of every monster he could find and just fused them together. And he made Stitch. Now, this, by the decree of the Galactic Federation, was illegal because it was illegal genetic experimentation. So, they decided they were going to punish Jumba and Stitch. Yeah, that's not going to go well for them now, is it? So, what happened? They sentenced Stitch. I don't know what's going on with my lighting right now. I'm sorry. They sentenced Stitch to termination, and they sent him with their elite officer Gantu, who is going to be a big part of everything to come. And they put him in a ship. They had guns trained on him, and everything was kosher, except not. Because, as Jumbo warned them, Stitch is as smart as a supercomputer, if not smarter. So he tricked the guns into helping him get away. He hijacked a ship and eventually landed in Hawaii. No, say, dang it. Let's just say Hawaii. And it was there, after trying to blend in, that he ended up in a dog pound where he would meet Lilo. His forever BFF, kind of, sort of. We're gonna get there. So, Lilo and her sister Nani had been going through a lot. They lost their parents. They were trying to get their lives back together. So Nani decided, hey, I'll get you a dog so we can, try and rebuild our lives. And Lilo really liked Stitch, despite him being a weird-looking dog. He was basically an outcast, as was Lilo, because Lilo did not act like many girls on the island. Kawaii, I think it was. Anyway, so they formed an unlikely duo, but Stitch, being an experiment, didn't exactly know how to act like a dog. I mean, he could impersonate one, which is why if you know, Stitch has 4 arms, he has antennae, and he has spines on his back. So he actually retracted them into his body so he could look like a dog. But that doesn't mean he knows how to act like a dog, especially since his dog talks. La! So, once I met Lilo, we became Ohana. And no. Well, they did, but there were a lot of problems because Stitch, by default, in his default setting, is aggressive and childish and destructive. And that kind of caused problems for Lilo, who was going the extra mile to prove to Nani and Agent Bubbles, Cobra Bubbles, that's canon, that he could be a model citizen. Mm-hmm. And this, of course, would cause even more problems when the Galactic Federation showed up via Gantu and Jumba and Pleakley and they all try to take Stitch from Lilo because, again, he's a danger to the universe. So Disney shenanigans ensue. It's a great movie. I hold Lilo and Stitch very high up. I think it's on Disney Plus, so go watch it. It's really, really good, and it has some dark moments. Like, seriously, all right? This is when Disney was super top tier. Like, Lilo and Stitch really does have a big place in my heart. So Stitch eventually realizes that being destructive, being monstrous, it doesn't mean anything in the end. And even Jumbo was like, I trained him to be destructive, but what happens when there is nothing left to destroy? What happens when he does not even have the memories to fall back on in his solitude moments? And, like, again, it got pretty deep. But eventually, Stitch saves Lilo, who had accidentally been captured by Gantu, and the Galactic Federation decided, through some very convoluted logic and a dog adoption certificate, kid you not, that Stitch had found a prison to be in, he had found a family to be a part of, and he was sentenced to peaceful exile on Earth. Let's just roll with it because it's a beautiful ending, alright? So, that was not the end of his adventures. Those were just the beginning of his adventures, because, of course, over the course of multiple movies, a Disney Channel TV show, a Disney Channel anime, and a Chinese spin-off, I kid you not, Stitch has been through the ringer and has grown and evolved through it. For example, the Lilo and Stitch TV series, which was very, very good, a key part of my teen years. Yes, teen years, I am that old. Was about how, well, Stitch is experiment 626, so where's the other 625? Now, at the time, I'm like, oh my gosh, are they really going to do 625 episodes of this thing? They did not. Sadly, they did not, but I would have loved to see them try. Like, that would have made it like one of the longest running animated series of all time, ladies and gentlemen, but they did not do that. But he had to go up against his cousins, as he called them. He had to go up against Gantu and Dr. Hamsterville. Yeah, he was a little more higher pitched than that, but I can only go so far. Stitch is the limit. Yeah, Stitch is the limit. He had to go up against his cousins. He had to go against Gantu, Dr. Hamsterville, certain other alien enemies, and then that doesn't even count his own clones. Yes, clones, not side experiments. The cousins are a different thing. His clones, like in the anime, yes, there was a Stitch anime. It was weird, as I will talk about soon. But throughout all of it, Stitch grew to be better and to understand what it meant to be a part of a family, a part of a world, and actually trying to do good. Now, the Chinese spin-off is weird, so I don't think that they're going to count that one because it kind of shows Stitch regressing and technically doesn't count the Stitch anime series as canon, so it's weird. Also, he tried to find a mystical, I think it was an amulet or something, to give him a wish, which he wanted to wish for ultimate powers to be the strongest thing in the universe, even though he technically already was the strongest thing in the universe, so it's weird. But the main Stitch that we all know and love, the Battle of Stitch, he found his purpose, and he did his best to help his cousins to find their place in Hawaii, and to be there for Lilo. Like, there was actually a misconception that Lilo was actually dependent on Stitch, but it's not true. Stitch is actually dependent on Lilo because she's the only one who will go that super extra mile for him no matter what. Even when they fight, she will always be there for him, and Stitch had to realize that and understand that, this girl's pretty great, all right? I mean, there's a lot of people who would like Lilo as a daughter, and I might be one of them, so I'm just saying. All right, now enough of the backstory. Let's get to the good stuff. All right, Stitch, by Jumbo's own definition, like I'm talking one of the opening bits of the original movie, he explains that Stitch is bulletproof, fireproof, electricity proof, can lift 3,000 times his own weight, which is an important factor, and is the intelligence of a supercomputer, and has a very nasty mouth. Okay, so Jumbo didn't say that part, but Stitch did it. Now, funny thing here, when I was looking up Stitch, apparently the translation for that phrase is "I want to destroy." I call bull on that. Okay, if he just said "I want to destroy," why would the head councilwoman say, "Oh, naughty," and the other guy's like trying to throw up? So I think someone tried to clean that up so that it wasn't more dirty for a Disney show, but make of that what you will. But and that his special abilities and toughness have allowed him to endure all sorts of situations, including via his own cousins, who were blessed with various abilities. Because again, Jumbo was trying to create the ultimate monster, and so he used those previous experiments to build up to what he felt was the perfect monster, 626. And yes, I'll talk about Leroy in a second. He's super strong, super fast, super endurant. He's incredibly intelligent. He's able to come up with strategies, trick computers like the trained laser turrets I talked about earlier on the ship. He once made a reconstruction of San Francisco after only looking at a postcard. He solved a crossword puzzle in 7 seconds, and so on and so forth. He in the first movie, after Lilo is captured, he gets on Gantu's ship. Gantu aims the rockets right at Stitch. Stitch flies off, hits 2 different mountains, skids on the road, and is only down for a few seconds. All right, he is caught and thrown. He's caught and thrown plasma bolts, not lasers. Plasma bolts, totally different. And in Leroy and Stitch, he was actually blasted by a bunch of them at once, and he was only shot into the air. Then when he hit a wall, the first thing he saw was, "Oh my heart!" All right, so he didn't even care that he was shot with plasma bolts. He was worried about getting hit on the head. So yeah. And then there is the anime. Now there is some wacky stuff in the anime that I don't even want to talk about. But the big one is what Liam mentioned during the Death Battle cast when they actually did Rocket versus Stitch. And in it, Liam shows a GIF where Stitch and one of his clones are. One of the clones of Stitch is trying to blow up the galaxy with a bomb, and Stitch redirects the bomb, the ship, and the clone into a black hole. And that's not the first time that Stitch has been in a black hole, all right? He's been there at least 2 times, according to my research, at least. And Stitch redirects everything into the black hole. So the bomb not only blows up the black hole and takes out everything else within it, including his clone and the ship. But then, after the hole is closed, Stitch is blown back out at super faster than light speeds, returns to Earth where he's in Okinawa. Long story. It's so weird. And he lands back on Earth completely unharmed. Well, that's great. That's special. So yeah, that is arguably one of the biggest feats that you could give to a thing like Stitch. And technically, there is one more. If they include the Chinese version of Stitch called Stitch and AI, or I guess, the whole concept is that essentially Stitch has a hidden function within his body that will activate if he's in a larger city, which he eventually crash lands into after. It's a long story. But he basically lands in China in a big city. And this one will transform him into a giant monster that is capable of destroying star systems. Yeah. So that's a lot. Now, there are a few weaknesses to Stitch. The biggest one is what you all likely know, is that he is so dense. So dense in terms of his molecular structure that he cannot swim. And he's actually quite hydrophobic. Now, that being said, he has fought in the water and has won despite being incredibly dense. So make of that what you will. He is also prone to acting out because canonically, if you include the Stitch anime, he's at most 20 years old by the end of that show. And I say that because in that show we find out that Lilo went to college. Okay, so probably not even that, like maybe 15, maybe? Okay, regardless, because Nani has a kid at that show, it doesn't matter. So he's at most 10 to 15 years old by the time of the first movie to the end of the anime. And he still acts like a kid. He's very impulsive. He doesn't like it when things don't go his way. He gets frustrated a lot with objects he doesn't fully understand, like a toaster. Toaster! And so on and so forth. But even despite all of that, Stitch is one of the coolest characters you will ever meet. He's cute, he's fluffy, He is strong, he's endurant, and he knows the purpose of Ohana. Because Ohana means family, and family means no one gets left behind or forgotten. And now I can't do the Stitch voice anymore because I gotta talk about Rocket! Alright, so Rocket Raccoon. This one's even weirder if you really want to think about it. So Rocket, a raccoon, is he a raccoon? Actually, he is. Alright, he's technically a raccoon, despite what he thinks, despite what he feels. And yes, in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, he does admit he's a raccoon. But that is not his true origin story, what they showed in the movie. In the comics, he was on a world called Half-World, because of course he was. And in Half-World, he was actually used as a therapy animal. I kid you not. He was used as a therapy animal for some of the less insane inmates. Eventually, he was experimented on to the point where he became the raccoon that we all know, love, and love to see him swear. In the comics, not in the movies. Does he curse in the movies? No, I don't think he does. It's Disney, so what are you going to do? So he was originally meant just to be technically a warden, and this was after the people who experimented on him left. He, Lila, Walrus, and others were watching over the planet. Eventually, he left the planet and became a mercenary, which eventually put him in cahoots with Peter Jason Quill, a.k.a. Star-Lord. Who? Come on, man. Star-Lord? Legendary Outlaw? You know what? Forget it. I love the first movie. The first movie is perfection to me. So he joins the Guardians of the Galaxy, but even with all of that, Rocket still holds deep-seated feelings about his past and his history, which is actually beautifully shown in the third movie. I liked all three Guardians movies. The first one was still the best, though, to me. But he always held, not regrets, but lingering emotions about what happened on Half-World and his upbringing and why he was experimented on. Is he a raccoon? Is he something more? And his journeys with the Guardians of the Galaxy, with Groot, and even the Avengers to certain extents, made him not less skeptical, but more accepting that things can get better if you allow them to. And I know that sounds weird for a guy who likes to insult everybody at every freaking turn, but Rocket does have growth. For example, after forming a bond with Star-Lord, there is a point in the comics where Star-Lord proposes to Kitty Pryde of the X-Men. And Rocket was so happy for Peter. And then he was equally as sad when Peter and Kitty broke up, for the proof that comics doesn't know how to handle relationships. I seriously hate it. It's bad. So, but he decided to make sure he was there for all of them. And then at another time, Rocket was, his own genetic makeup was breaking down. Like, he was dying, like legit dying. And so he's like, I can't do this anymore, so I'm just gonna fix everything and then die happy. So he literally went and gave back everything he ever stole that he still had. He made amends with various people, and then he went back to Half-World to kind of settle the score once and for all. Now, obviously, he didn't die, but that was the level of emotional fortitude that Rocket had, that he was willing to do these things, And yes, he is still a loudmouth, rude, insulting jerk at times, but he does have the potential for great emotional support and showing, and he's been a leader of many groups over the years, including actually being the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy at one point after Star-Lord stepped down for various reasons. He was also invited to the Thing's bachelor party, so I'm just saying, clearly he's good at something. He was invited to a bachelor party. What a wiki will tell you. So, beyond the very unique story of Rocket, both Half-World and beyond, Rocket is known for multiple things, but the thing that we all associate him with is the weapons. All right, Rocket isn't just an enhanced raccoon or raccoon-like being. He is a genius who can come up with incredible strategies, and both Star-Lord and Cable have said he is like the best tactical mind or strategist they have ever met. Like, seriously, Cable, like adult Cable, in one of the recent X-Men comics from last year, I think it was, said that he was going to work with the greatest strategist ever to take down this group. I can't remember what it was. And then it was Rocket. And he's like, finally, someone with some respect for my skills. So, game recognizes game. And if Cable says you're a genius, you're a genius. All right? And then he will use weapons in so many ways that it just boggles your mind. He's a genius engineer. He can make all kinds of weapons and bombs, and he's been shown using all sorts of them all the freaking time. And because of his enhanced physique, he is able to not only wield these weapons, no matter how heavy they are compared to his body. If you've seen some of the Rocket Raccoon covers, like he's usually holding like a building size, not getting out big as the building size, like a car sized weapon. And even though he's got like a really small body, he's like, I can blast this. It's Rocket, so you learn to live with it. And also because of his implants, he's able to dodge at laser speed, which basically means he can dodge light speed lasers. So, and he does that on the regular. It's pretty cool. And of course, he's equipped with bombs and blasters and all sorts of other space technology. In fact, for being honest here, I could not and likely will not be able to find out all the weapons he's had, just because different writers, different stories, the different times he's with the Avengers or the Guardians or on his own with Groot, et cetera, et cetera. He's had so many weapons that it'd be hard to keep track of, but they are weapons that can blow up planets at the bare minimum. And the big one that was also mentioned in the Death Battle cast is that he had a weapon that could help take down Thanos. And it's canonically stated that he helped take down Thanos 3 times. Not on his own, never on his own, but he was able to help take him down. He's also helped take down Venom and Kraven the Hunter. Now, when I say Kraven the Hunter, I mean the comics version of Kraven the Hunter, not that terrible Sony version that we're about to see, where he gets lion blood in his system and somehow becomes a perfect hunter. How does that make sense? Sony, you have one job. Don't suck. How is it so hard to break that? Ugh. Don't go see the movie, please. Wait for the Insomniac game and experience that Kraven, because that one will probably be accurate. How do you screw up Kraven the Hunter? Anyway, also I'm not sure which Venom Rocket helped defeat, but I would guess it's pre-King in Black, because as we all know, that one got really crazy powerful. So let's just roll with it, right? So Rocket has weaponry that can take down all sorts of people. He's one-shot higher level Marvel beings like Angela, and I saw someone say Thanos, but I'm pretty sure that was like the Weekend Thanos one. And again, he has weapons that definitely can blow up planets. He has survived explosions that can level a city block, as I noted in the preview. And he's had buildings collapse on him, and he's fine. He survived all sorts of space shenanigans. He's been outnumbered, outgunned, and weakened, and yet survived every fight. He is just that darn good. If there's a weakness to Rocket, it's honestly that he doesn't necessarily underestimate people, but he gets in his own way, and part of it is because of his backstory. They actually noted something like this in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where he's not used to having nice things, and so he kind of gets self-destructive at times. And obviously, he can also, like in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, he thinks he has like a perfect plan in place, and he takes out a whole bunch of people, and then all of a sudden someone shows up like Yondu, and he's like, crap. So his strategies do have a limit to how effective they can be, and by definition, he can lose like that. So he's not infallible. And obviously, if you take away his weapons, if you can get in close to Rocket, you can F him up. Okay? Like, while he is an enhanced raccoon, a raccoon-like creature, he's not supernatural or like God level, Herald level, alright? His specialty is the weapons. That's what makes him Raccoon, alright? He without his weapons, he is vulnerable, like they showed in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and 3, and 1 even. So, remember when Rona backhanded him? That was easy. So, if you can take the weapons away, Rocket is incredibly vulnerable. But he also is someone who can react so quickly and has so many weapons on him. That's kind of a hard thing to do. So, just don't call him a raccoon, alright? He takes it very, very personally. Dang trash panda. Alright, so who wins in a fight between Stitch and Rocket? Alright, so I actually rewatched the Death Battle cast, like I said, of Rocket versus Stitch, and even Liam acknowledged that there is some leeway that you could give here. Because if this was just the main Stitch series, so Lilo and Stitch, Lilo and Stitch 2, Lilo and Stitch the series, Stitch the movie, I would argue that Rocket would win. But then there's the anime, which is canon. It's canon because Lilo shows up. Lilo in her older form shows up. She was in college at the time. And so that is canon to the series. It was an Eastern anime, so it was never, actually there was an English dub, wasn't there? Anyway. Yeah, actually, there was an English dub. So it technically counts even more. So yeah, that one has to count. You could probably discount the Chinese one, so I won't use that one here. But if you include the anime, that galaxy surviving feat is insane. And remember, he survived the galaxy-destroying bomb and the black hole, and the bomb going into the black hole and blowing everything up, getting rid of the clone and the spaceship, and yet Stitch is fine. Also, Stitch has apparently a power surge mode, I heard Liam say, where he can increase his power even further so that he can realize his maximum power potential. Because remember, Stitch, okay, if you didn't know this, Stitch actually is, in Lilo and Stitch 2, he had a glitch where his cells weren't fully charged, and so that actually led him to die until the power of love brought him back to life. That is canon. Lilo's love brought Stitch back to life. It's a beautiful thing. Tear. It happened. So, Stitch can use that extra power to defeat beings that defeated higher level clones of Stitch. So, there's that. Also, apparently, he can fly in the anime. I didn't see that, but, when you throw anime into the mix, man, things get weird. So, the question is, can Rocket use one of his weapons to destroy Stitch without destroying himself? And that, I think, is what people are forgetting here. Rocket can blow up a planet. There's no doubt in my mind Rocket has a gun that blows up a planet. He has one to take down a weakened Thanos, and he had it. Alright? But there's a difference between firing a planet-destroying weapon and surviving a planet-destroying weapon. Think about Majin Buu. He could blow up planets, but then he would be turned into, the pink goo and have to reassemble himself, alright? Rocket is not planet level. He can take down planet level people with his tech, but his durability is not planet level. Stitch, as also noted in the preview, has spit that can short out electronics or dissolve metals and rocks. So, and he can huckaloo you like a machine gun. Stitch spit. So, yeah. So the question is here: will Rocket even be able to use his weapons if Stitch keeps destroying them? Not to mention, if Stitch gets in close, he will rip Rocket to shreds. That's... Again, Rocket is strong, and he could take out enemies with even, something like a wrench, but Stitch can lift things 3,000 times his body weight. And only that. Only 3,000. If you go 3,001 times, he can't do it. But still, 3,000 times his own body weight, which... Remember, he's got a dense body weight because he sinks in water. So that's actually greater than you would expect. And that's more than enough to rip Rocket apart should he get in close. And his speed, Stitch's speed, is actually questionable because, again, we've seen him flung at light speeds and not have any harm done to him. He himself doesn't go light speed, but it might not matter. Again, it all depends on what the anime shows. But it might not matter. He is fast enough to go. He can go faster than the eye can track. He can go fast enough to make himself look like a blur. He can do things super, super fast, depending on the activity. And while Rocket can react to light speed via laser reactions, that doesn't mean he runs at light speed. He is not a speedster. He has light speed reactions, not super speed. So make of that what you will. So in the end, for me, I think Stitch takes this because his weaponry, I didn't even mention weaponry. He's got plasma guns, which he can move with all 4 arms. He's got other special weapons he's probably accrued over the course of the series and movies. But he really relies on his own strength and skills overall. So that won't really factor here. Rocket is the one with the weapons that you have to worry about. So even if a Rocket has a gun that can destroy a galaxy, he wouldn't survive the attempt. Either the gun will get destroyed, or Stitch will get in before the shot can be fired, or Rocket's going to destroy himself. He will not destroy himself just to kill an enemy. Actually, I take that back. He probably would do that. And I think he has done that once in the comics. But still, that's not... In this death battle, that is not how it's going to go down. So I am picking Stitch! And if Stitch loses, I am going to be so angry. So... with that, I'm ending this episode of Todd Talk. Who do you think is going to win between Stitch and Rocket Raccoon? Let me know in the comments below. And how excited are you for this fight? I saw the preview for it. It's looking some pretty crisp 2D. Not as crisp as a Mikasa Kilowell, but I think it's got potential. So, let me know what you think in the comments below. So, I thank you for watching. If you made this far, I know you were listening. I'll see you around. Bye.